him. He performs the office of pilot with so much exclusiveness, charging such high prices, governing the men with so iron a sway, and arranging everything so entirely according to his own fancy, that he is a complete sovereign in his own small way, the tyrant of Tampico. He has in his weather beaten face such a mixture of bluffness and slyness with his gigantic person, and abrupt, half savage manners, that, altogether, I conceive him to be a character who might have been worthy the attention of Walter Scott, had he chanced to encounter him. Old and repulsive as he is, he has lately married a pretty young girl, a subject on which he does not brook raillery. One amiable trait the old tyrant has in his character, his affection for his old mother, who is upwards of 90, and who resides at Mahon, and to whom he is constant in his attentions. At one time he was in the habit of sending her small sums of money, but as they were frequently lost, he sent her $500 at once by a safe conveyance. The old woman, he said, was so frightened by seeing such a quantity of money in her hut, that she could not sleep, and at length entrusted it to a friend, who carried it off altogether. Since then he has assigned her $15 a month, upon which the old woman lives in what she considers great luxury. We took leave of our friends an hour or two ago, but do not expect to set sail till the afternoon, as they are discharging the quicksilver which our vessel brought, and loading the silver which we carry away. 3 young Englishmen came on board this morning to see the packet, and are making a disagreeable visit, being perfectly overwhelmed by seasickness. 20th. Last night arose a furious norther. To-day it continues, but as it is driving us towards our desired haven, and away from this dangerous coast, we need not complain. As usual on these occasions, I find myself alone on the deck, never suffering from the universal prostrator of landsmen. By way of variety, I have been sitting in the cabin, holding on to the leg of a table, and trying to read Stephens with as much attention as circumstances will permit. All further attempts at writing must be delayed. 30th. On the 21st, the norther continued with unabated violence. The wild wind and the boiling waves struggling on the agitated bosom of the ocean. Great billows swelling up one after the other, and threatening to engulf us. The ship labouring and creaking as if all its timbers were parting asunder, and the captain in such a state of intense suffering, that we were in great apprehension for his life. Horrible days, and yet more horrible nights. But they were succeeded by fine weather, and at length we had the consolation of seeing the moon, smiling placidly down upon us, like a harbinger of peace. On the evening of the 26th, the full moon rose with a troubled countenance, her disk obscured by angry clouds. She shook them off, but still looked turbid and superb. A gloomy cloud, black as night, still stretched over her like a pall, thickly veiling, yet not entirely obscuring her light, and soon after she appeared, riding serenely in the high heavens, mildly triumphant. Of all who sing the praises of the moon, who should love her blessed beams from his inmost heart like the seaman? Then the angry clouds dispersed, the north wind blew freshly, but not fiercely, as if even his blustering fury were partly soothed by the influence of her placid light. The studding sails were set, and the Tyrian bounded on her course 8 knots an hour. The next day the wind died away, and then blew lightly from the opposite quarter. We were about 250 miles from Havana, but were then driven in the direction of Yucatan. The 2 following days we had contrary wind, but charming weather. We studied the chart and read, and walked on deck and played at draughts, and sat in the moonlight. The sea was covered with flying fish, and the Portuguese men of war, as the sailors call the independent little nautilus, sailed contemptuously past us in their fairy barks as if they had been little steamers. A man fell overboard, but the weather being calm was saved immediately. We have been tacking about and making our way slowly towards Havana, in a zigzag line. Yesterday evening the moon rose in the form of a large heart, of a red gold colour. This morning, about 4 o'clock, a fine fresh breeze sprung up from the northeast, and we are going on our course at a great rate, with some hopes of anchoring below the Morro this evening. Today being Sunday, we had prayers on deck, which the weather had not before permitted, The sailors all clean and attentive, as English sailors are. Last night they sang "Rule Britannia" with great enthusiasm. Havana, 31st. Last evening we once more saw the beautiful Bay of Havana, once more passed the Morro, and our arrival was no sooner known than the Captain General Don Jeromino Valdez sent his falua to bring us to the city, and even wished us to go to his palace; but Don B o H a, who gave us so hospitable a reception on our first visit, came on board, and kindly insisted on taking us to his house, where we found everything as elegant and comfortable as before, and from whence I now write these few lines. In the midst of our pleasure at being once more on dry land, surrounded by our former friends, and at receiving letters from home, we were shocked and distressed to hear of the unexpected death of our friend, the Señora de Gutierrez Estrada, who had followed her husband to Havana in his exile. What a blow to him, to her mother, to all her friends! I shall send off this letter by the first opportunity, that you may know of our safe arrival. End of letter the 53rd.